This is a character I created back in 2022, when me and my friend first started working on our game. And this is a new overhauled version of the same character. Hello and welcome to another Gentleman video. This time, finally, we will talk about one of my favorite characters in our game, Ankle. If you remember some of my previous videos, I sometimes mention Ankle and Krankle. We've made those too long time ago, but along with the development of Gentleman and recent changes in the overall appearance of the game, we decided to improve the designs of both of them. In today's video, I will cover only one sibling, so if you want to know more about the other, stay tuned for another video. And don't worry, they are still siblings. But now, they both have much more personality and character to them. And I'm honestly quite proud of their current state. What you're looking at is the old version of Ankle and Krankle, the first one I created even before HEXKOT and all that game studio story we are having right now. So that was back in 2022. My life and this game were much simpler those days, along with the characters of course. Those were much simpler too. They were both supposed to be shopkeepers. Krankle, the guy beside the counter, was your regular vendor kind of thing. You would go up to him, buy some stuff, don't ask me what cause I don't know, resupply and go on your way. You could find him in the pipe village. Yes, it was back when the pipe village was still a thing. And like in every game, he would never ever leave this place. I even thought to blame him sitting there all day long on his character. Like he's, a really serious man, to the point of being somewhat boring. Smoking his pipe all the time and looking at you with the pity in his eyes. For now, it's all you need to know about the Krankle. Like I said, there will be another video covering more about this character in the future. In the case of his brother and the main subject of this video, I am talking about Ankle, still in the past term if some of you are wondering. Except from similarities in their appearance, he would inherit none of the character traits of his older sibling. Back in the day, I imagined him as a traveling merchant, the type of guy you would see everywhere you go, the true adventurous soul. You know this type of person, always overly happy with a bright smile, jumping from one place to the other like a bee on a sunny day. Slightly out of his mind too, if you ask me. But this is exactly how I imagined Ankle back then. He does look like he's happy to be alive, does he? No? Well, I thought so too. But I gave him a backpack to at least show he's a traveler or something. In the game, he would travel from one location to other, selling a couple of random supplies and maps. Yes, you've heard me right, he would sell maps. Guess where I got this idea from? His purpose in the game was a complete ripoff of certain Hollow Knight character. Fast forward 2 years, a couple of weeks of careful planning and 2 days of work later, I present you the current version of Ankle, the greatest hunter alive. Along with his older brother, he's a veteran of the Three Flowers War in Velvet. On the plain of Mossland, they are sole survivors and participants of this war. No one else even heard of it before these two came to Mossland. Nevertheless, Ankle claims he was a squad member of Yellow Velvets, and that under the lead of his brother, he fought alongside his companions to defeat the greatest enemy the land of Velvet ever heard of. Obviously, there is no one to prove this statement to be true. But there is no one to deny it either, so we can safely assume it's true. After the end of war, Ankle decided to follow his brother on his journey to Mossland. To his immediate surprise, when after a long time on the road, they finally came to their destination, he found Krankle's wife awaiting their arrival, with what seemed to be Krankle's own child in her arms. After a brief shock, he assumed his great brother must have planned this all along, so with the feeling of pride and amazement growing in his soul, he congratulated his brother and without giving too much thought to his weird situation, he bid them both farewell and decided to find his new purpose for a living. Nowadays, Ankle, with the abundance of free time, occupies himself with hunting hostile beasts. With aim trained on years spent at war, he became quite good of a hunter. The best actually. But hey, what does he hunt or what he does with their bodies, you may ask? And this depends. At the beginning, Ankle hunted simply for his own pleasure, not giving too much thought what will happen with the bravely acquired loot. After a while though, the stories of his great deeds became more and more famous. People of Mossland started to offer him bounties and payments for those special services he offered. One merchant wanted a head of a certain rare bird. No problem, Ankle did the job quickly and efficiently. One bounty led to another, and after a short while, Ankle got hired by the most famous auctioneer and a collector of rarities in the entire Mossland. Now, that's a job everyone envies, don't you think? In the game, Ankle will travel the world and offer you hunting quests to complete. You'll meet him on your first visit to each of Gentleman locations, and on your first meeting, he will offer you a bestiary, so you'll feel like a true hunter slaying beasts and hostile creatures lurking on the plain of Mossland. If you have trouble finding him in an unknown area, search for the blue feathers lying around on the ground. This is the sign you are getting close to his current camping area. Why the feathers, you ask? It's because he always carries around with him cages filled to the brim with squeaking little birds, mostly captured on his employer's demand. Whenever you find him, except from your first meeting of course, he will sit or stand beside his tent, smoking his pipe and looking around for monsters creeping on him from every corner. In case of immediate danger, Ankle always carries his trusty chicken pawn by his side. Up until now, you've seen the drawing process leading up to the current version of Ankle's design. We specifically wanted to underline his adventurous soul and affiliation with the Yellow Velvets. So, after a small research and a quick sketch by Zapka, we anonymously agreed on dressing him in a British safari outfit. It gives him that nice edge to his appearance. And it suits his profession incredibly well. And it looks nice, so that was a no-brainer. On his right arm, you can see a war patch of yellow velvets. It's just a simple patch with an embroidered velvet flower, so there is nothing to talk about. And, just like every gentleman, he wears a hat. Just like the outfit, it's a British Army helmet, pretty much exactly the same as you can see on the reference image. In terms of his looks, there is one last special thing to talk about, and it's the chicken pawn, which is Ankle's favorite weapon. Like I mentioned, he always has it with him, and to make his character a little crazy, he will treat this gun like a living companion, always talking to it, making jokes and such, generally treating this gun like it's his best imagined friend ever, except he really thinks it's a real person. This part is still under consideration, but I think it's a nice idea. The gun itself looks like its name suggests, a chicken pawn, or it's supposed to resemble one. I really like the feathers on the handle and the chicken pawn instead of your regular gun trigger. It's a nice touch, I think, but there definitely is a room for improvement, especially considering the visibility factor in the actual game. I did a little test, and it seems like the details on the handle are kinda blurry, so we may change the chicken pawn in the future, but as of right now, it stays as it is. It's important to mention that Ankle will appear as one of the first characters in the actual game, which means he will be in the demo version. And as the demo is currently a work in progress, you may expect it around the beginning of 2025. But it's not an official statement, we still have a long way to go. But I just gave you a little something to note on your calendars for the next year. And I'm getting ahead of myself here. I started animating him, which is a big of a deal because right now there are only a handful of animated characters in our game. Animations are still not finished, but to give you a little brief and sneak peek of the animation process / pipeline we are currently using to create gentleman characters, I can show you this. And what you're looking at is a main pose sheet for Ankle's idle animations. And what I mean by that is, each of those drawings is a keyframe of different idle animation of this particular character. In the case of Ankle, there will be a couple of different idle animations. Each of them is visible in the specific situation you'll find yourself in. When you meet him for the first time, he will be searching for monsters with his spyglass, like you see on the video. We want to convey as much of the quirkiness of our characters as possible. So in the animation process, we try to use a lot of exaggerated movements, like you see in this shooting animation, for example. Of course, there is still a lot of work to do, and the animation you've seen right now are still in a very rough form. But I think you can get the idea where we are going to take them in the future. If you're interested, I am using Adobe Animate to create animations like this. But if you want to know more, I can create a video showcasing the entire animation process from the beginning to the end. I am probably going to do that anyway, but you may let me know in the comments if you are interested in watching a video like this. And that's it for today's video. If you liked it, share your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, if you're interested in watching more of the gentleman content, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more videos in the future. That being said, stay safe and have a great day. Bye.